In the ancient village of Umueka, where the moon seemed to hang lower than anywhere else in the world, there lived a young maiden named Adamma. She was 20 years of age, gentle in spirit, graceful in movement, and pure in heart. Her beauty was spoken of across the 7 neighboring clans, but it was not her face that made her different. It was the purity she guarded fiercely, a sacred treasure she believed belonged only to her future husband, whoever destiny chose. Her virginity was her pride, her honor, her inheritance from the ancestors. But in the heart of Umueka, seated on a golden stool layered with cowries and power, rode King Ego, a man feared more than he was loved. His words were law, his anger was thunder, and his desires were storms no one dared to question. Age had hardened him, his heart colder than the stone walls of the palace. When whispers of Adamma's unmatched purity reached the king's ears, something dark stirred within him. He wanted her, not for love, not for companionship, but for conquest. A king, accustomed to getting everything he wanted, desired to claim Adamma in the most dishonorable way. One warm evening, as the village women gathered by the moonlight to sing folk songs, the king summoned Adamma to the palace. His guards approached her family compound with drums of authority. Her mother trembled. Her father bowed his head in fear. But Adamma stepped forward with a calmness that surprised even herself. When the messenger delivered the king's request, she answered softly but firmly, "I will not go." The guards blinked. They had heard defiance before, but never with such clarity, never from someone so young. The message reached the king, and rage boiled in him like a pot left too long on fire. "Bring her to me," he thundered. "By force if you must." And so it began, the torment of the innocent. The guards stormed into Adamma's compound the next day. She was dragged to the palace courtyard, her feet scraping the ground, her hands tied, her clothes stained with dust. The king ordered her to be beaten, not to death, but to break her spirit. Each strike echoed through the palace walls like thunder rolling over a wounded sky. Yet Adamma held her head high, tears streaming but unbowed. Her voice cracked as she spoke, "My body is mine. I will not surrender it to evil." Those words pierced the king more deeply than any arrow. Night after night, the king summoned her. Night after night, she refused. He starved her, isolated her, locked her in a cold room lit only by a dying torch. But still, Adamma did not bend. The villagers whispered in fear. Some prayed for her. Some cursed the king under their breath. But no one dared intervene. One night, the king visited her chamber himself. He stood over her weakened body, his shadow swallowing the room. She looked up at him, not with fear, but with a strange peace. "Ego," she whispered, refusing to call him king, "you can harm my skin, but you cannot touch my soul. I would rather die than give you what you demand." Her courage enraged him. His pride felt wounded. In that moment, something within him snapped beyond repair. "Then die," he growled, turning to his guards. "Take her to the sacred forest. End her life there so that even the spirits will turn their faces from her." The guards hesitated. Killing an innocent maiden in the sacred forest was a sin older than the village itself. But fear is a powerful chain, and the king's shadow was long. The moon was full that night, glowing like a watchful eye of the ancestors. The forest was eerily silent as the guards dragged Adamma through its ancient paths. The trees swayed as if whispering warnings. Crickets quieted. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. When they reached the heart of the forest, Adamma fell to her knees. She was weak, her body bruised, her lips pale, her spirit steady. "Allow me one prayer," she whispered. The guards, shaken by guilt, nodded. Adamma lifted her eyes to the moon and spoke softly, "Ancestors, I have kept myself pure not out of pride, but out of reverence. If my death brings peace, let it be so. But let my story never be forgotten. Let it be a warning to all kings who misuse power, and a light for every girl who stands for her dignity." The forest seemed to sigh. The guards, trembling, did what they had been ordered to do. When her last breath escaped her lips, the moon dimmed behind a cloud, as if turning away in sorrow. The next morning, the village awoke to a strange silence, followed by a booming clap of thunder though no storm was near. Rumors spread quickly. mothers wept. Elders shook their heads. Even warriors bowed in shame. But the king, restless, sweating, tormented, felt something was wrong. His palace echoed with strange whispers. His throne felt heavy. That night, he dreamt of Adamma standing before him, calm, glowing, untouchable. "You may have taken my life," her spirit said, "but you cannot silence my story." Villagers began reporting strange happenings. The king's water turned bitter. His sleep became filled with shadows. His strength faded. His heart, once cruel and iron, began to rot from the inside. Within days, King Egu fell sick with a mysterious illness. No healer could save him. No charm could protect him. And in his final moments, he saw the face of the maiden he had tried to break, the maiden who never bowed. She stood beside his bed in silence, her presence colder than the grave yet filled with justice. "You feared my purity," her spirit whispered, "but it is your wickedness that destroyed you." The king died with his eyes wide open, as if witnessing a truth too powerful for a mortal heart. When the villagers learned of his death, they did not celebrate. Instead, they mourned Adamma, the brave girl whose honor had become her martyrdom. She was buried at the edge of the sacred forest, where the wind carried her name through the leaves. Mothers taught their daughters her story. Elders told it by moonlight. Drummers sang it during festivals. And her grave became a place of quiet pilgrimage, where maidens knelt to pray for strength, and warriors came to renew their vows of protection. Adamma became more than a tale. She became a legend. A symbol of purity, courage, and unbroken spirit. And so, in the village of Umuaka, where the moon hangs low and the nights are filled with whispers, they still say, "A king may command a kingdom, but he cannot command the soul of a righteous woman."